Hey guys, Jay Young here with Young Red Angus. Thank you so much for making this video part of your day. Today we're talking about our heirloom corn, Jimmy Red.
This is what we all feel, let's just not deny it. Something pulls and it tears in the deepest place. This is what we all know, why must we still fight it? It's time to open our eyes and acknowledge the writing on the wall.
Today's episode is sponsored by Regen Ag Labs. Regen Ag Lab is the ag lab that we trust.
Today's video we're talking about our Jimmy Red corn that we grew this year. So we have this irrigated circle behind me. It is 120 acres, 60 acres of it is our heirloom Jimmy Red corn, and this other half is GMO corn. And then we have a 80-acre field of dryland Jimmy Red corn. So the reason why we are trying to grow Jimmy Red corn on our farming operation is we would like to see if we can be profitable with Jimmy Red corn and getting that substituted over our Jimmy Red. And the reason is because there's a study, and I'll cite that in the notes, the show notes of today's video, that points out that corn with BT in it, in their study, showed that non-BT corn had higher mycorrhizal populations, had higher soil respiration, and the residue from the crop broke down quicker with the heirloom, or well, it was just a non-GMO, so that wasn't specifically with an heirloom. But you're going to get the same thing with an heirloom corn because it's a natural, non-genetically modified corn. And so, you know, when you modify a corn variety, you amplify the benefits of what the traits that you're trying to select for, but you can't add those traits. You have to take something out. So there's going to be a negative effect when you're taking something out. That's the reason why we've looked at doing Jimmy Red corn, is that if we're caring about our soil and wanting to put our soil in the best possible position going forward, then we want to experiment with Jimmy Red and see if it's something that we can get to work. It's not without its challenges. Jimmy Red, because it doesn't have an insecticide, is something that we, in 2020, we grew Jimmy Red. We had a terrible stand because we didn't account for wireworms that would be attacking our corn in the soil, and so we had a poor stand in 2020. We tried to remedy that this year with doing a fish hydrolysate on the dry land, and then most of this irrigated field got a insecticide put in furrow. We also had a challenge with the germination on this Jimmy Red corn. We got the corn, and I should have done more research, but when I purchased it, I didn't realize that the germination was a little bit lower, and the company that I bought it from advertised that and let me know that, but I wasn't paying attention when I bought it and didn't notice that aspect of it, so that's my fault. But when I got it, we noticed it, we upped the population. I'm still seeing less of a population than what I'd like to see out here, so I'm not 100% sure, which kind of bothers me that I don't know why we have a lower population out here. And then the ear size is going to be inconsistent, and I've heard that from everybody, that when you start with Jimmy Red corn or a heirloom corn, you're going to get a lot of inconsistency with the ears. And the key is that you plant the heirloom varieties for multiple years, select the biggest ears that stand, and if you want it to be ready quicker, you are selecting the ears that mature quicker, because there's an inconsistency with maturity, and you build this up through selective breeding. So there's a lot that goes into that makes it a huge challenge to grow, but it's something that we've taken on this year, and that's what we're seeing so far. I'm going to do a follow-up video at harvest time, but let's take a look at the ears, and I'll kind of show you the ear difference here on the irrigated, and then we'll go to the dry land and I'll show you kind of how thin the stand is, what the ear size looks like, and we'll compare that to some of the other ears on our dry land, but really we're not going to know until we get the combine in and harvest it. This particular field on the irrigated, we're only going to leave 24 rows. We're going to chop it for silage for our cattle because I wanted the higher sugar content, higher protein content for our cattle, and that's another reason why I grew the Jimmy Red. It also gets a lot taller than your typical GMO varieties, so I'm hoping that, you know, if we can figure out the population, that it can be a go-to on our fields when we're growing a silage because of how tall the corn gets. So let's check out the ears here. So right off the bat, you're gonna notice the maturity difference. So this one is a lot more matured and further along than this one right here, and these two ears aren't very far away. And then size difference, this one didn't get quite as big. There's also a huge difference in where the ears develop and the plant size of these plants. So this ear is developed right around my navel, and then you come down here to this one, and this one is clear above my head. So there's a lot of inconsistency with the height of the plant. Here's a great example of the situation we had with the population. So like, because we bumped up our population, we have multiple ones right there in a row. So there's 4 plants there that are kind of cramped together, and then there's a space of about a foot there, and then over here another space of about a foot. So that brings its own challenges. If you can see on the GMO corn, you have a consistent stand. So that's something that we're going to have to figure out in the future if it's going to be something we continue to grow. I'm hoping with the height of the corn and the extra population that we put out here, that'll end up making up for itself in the long run. So we'll end up selecting some of these ears here and on our dry land, and we'll see how that goes. That's going to be something else. Time wise, it's going to be a challenge because I agreed to coach junior high football, so yay. Okay guys, here we are at a dry land field, and I want to make sure that I'm a pretty positive person, so this doesn't bother me probably as much as it should. This probably should bother me more. We just have a really weak stand, and not only do we have a really weak stand, a lot of it's fallen over, but I'm not really worried about it until we harvest it, because some of these ears out here, well, a lot of the ears out here are just so massive. So kind of like to see how they make up for the ears that are out here that are huge. I want to see how they make up for it, and then I also want to see, when we sell it, what kind of margins we get selling the heirloom corn on specialty markets for, if we can find a whiskey distillery, or selling it food grade wise, or the different markets there are for the heirloom corn. So I'm not freaking out quite yet. I do love that we interseeded cover crops on this, because the cover crops are making up for some of the blank spaces out here, and because they got so much sunlight, they kind of flourished out here. So yeah, there's going to be a challenge. So I'm going to pull off some of these ears, and we'll compare the ears to our other dry land. But really, ear size doesn't matter if the population is that much different. We're really not going to know till we harvest it, but it's not looking promising right now. So most of the ear size on the Jimmy Red are bigger, which you kind of need for how low the population is. We'll see after we harvest what the difference is. We'll have a YouTube video on that. Right now, it's not looking promising as far as how low our population is. I really think it's going to affect our yield quite a bit, but looking forward to continuing to do this in the future, figuring out how to get our stand and our population up higher, and continuing to experiment with this heirloom corn. I want to be clear, it's something that's not without its challenges. So if it's something that you're looking into growing, making sure that you're getting a high germination on your seed before you purchase your seed, making sure that you are doing your research as far as trying fish hydrolysates. Another option that they do in Europe is that they'll plant a population of sweet corn within their corn, because the worms that are attacking our corn are more likely to target the sweet corn over the heirloom corns. So those are all things to think about if you're going to try this heirloom corn. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you have comments about what you want to see in a future video, let me know that, and keep pursuing soil health. This is Jay Young, out.